at another time. So I'm going to share my screen and reveal my slides. So I'm hoping you're all here because you're looking for a job, number one. I'm hoping you're all here because you're looking for a job that will use your degree. And I'm hoping you're here because you realize how competitive it is in the job market and that you want to stand out from the crowd. If that's the case, I'm going to carry on and share my slides with you for the next 20 to 30 minutes. There will be an opportunity to ask any questions at the end and use the chat box, and I'll hopefully address those a bit later for you. Okay, so for those who don't know me, my name's Dan Hawes, and I'm the GRB co-founder. GRB stands for Graduate Recruitment Bureau. I set that up with a colleague in 1997 when I graduated in business studies from Brighton University. Over those 25 years, we've grown to become the go-to platform for high caliber university students like you, recent graduates, some of you may be here today, alumni. I know there's a few people that are already in the workplace joining us today, and also employers. We have over 75 staff based in Brighton, and we have over 2,000 clients across all sectors, companies as big as Amazon, IBM, Unilever, and Ocado, and also several fast-growing SMEs, small to medium enterprises that you might not be aware of that go under the radar. So 2,000 clients, all actively looking for students and graduates. And our recruitment experts have successfully matched over 8,000 graduates with full-time graduate or executive level jobs. Our service is entirely free. Employers pay us to find you. Now, let's just put everything into context before I start. So we all know what the situation is like at the moment, huge uncertainty in the economy. So I've just picked out some of the headlines just to illustrate the kind of background to the economy and what employers are trying to grapple with at the moment. So we have a cost of living crisis. This is affecting everyone, particularly students and graduates who are about to enter the workplace. We've got inflation at over 10%, so our money is not going as far as we would hope. We are experiencing huge demand for employees. The job market is very, very strong. The top chart shows you the number of vacancies in the UK right now. We're at a record level of vacancies. The problem is that people aren't entering the workforce in their thousands. We've got lots of students and graduates entering the workforce, but there are lots of people who've taken early retirement, are caring for individuals, or they're suffering from long-term COVID themselves, or they've taken part-time roles. So the actual number of people in the workforce has shrunk dramatically, which is good news for graduates who are going to be entering the jobs market in the summer. Now, the other image on the far right is from the Institute of Student Employers. Right, so they represent over 100 organizations, and these are the big graduate recruiters that have thousands and thousands of vacancies every year. They've predicted a growth this year, but not as much. Okay, so last year was very, very good. You can see the final on the bar chart here, it is very, very high. I think that was well over 15% increase in the number of vacancies that they offered last year. Now, this year, the prediction is slightly less because some employers are just adopting a wait and see approach. Doesn't mean they're not hiring, they're just maybe reducing a little bit and maybe waiting to see what happens in the next 6 to 18 months as the economy pans out. But the situation remains. Vacancies are very, very high, and the number of people in the workforce is very, very low. So generally, the background for the economy right now for graduates entering the workforce is good. Now, the problem is that there are 500,000 final year students right now. Okay, so they will all be entering the workforce come the summer. So it's super important that you stand out. And this is a brilliant subject to cover as part of the Futures Festival. So I hope you take notes and you put yourself in the strongest position to stand out when the time comes for when you're applying for graduate level jobs. Now, 2022 is looking good. Now, 2023 is also going to be good, as I've already illustrated. I just want to kind of give you all a confidence boost because despite this uncertainty, you've come through some very, very challenging times while you've been at university. So you're going to be graduating after a pandemic and a lockdown, which is a fantastic achievement. Many of you may have had to study remotely, which has its challenges, and you haven't had those opportunities to find work because organizations haven't been looking. So, finding internships, placements, part-time jobs, which were normally easy to find in the good times, have been very, very hard during a pandemic. So I think you should congratulate yourself when you graduate that you've come through some very, very challenging times. You will have been able to demonstrate resilience and grit. Okay, employers love that. You've come through very challenging times, and I think this is going to be very important to the way you present yourself and illustrate your skill set to demonstrate resilience and grit. You've also had time to reflect over these 2, 3, maybe 4 years at university that will help you focus on the right career rather than jumping at the very first job that catches your attention. You're going to have some useful background information to help you reflect and apply for the right kind of roles. Unlike previous generations who haven't had this time during lockdown to reflect on where you want to go with your career. Now, you have a degree, so it singles you out from the general population, and you will have a unique skill set. So it's very important to get to work on making the very best CV you can while you are still at university to help you stand out. You've also shown that you've studied remotely. Employers will be looking for people who can work from home, that they have a good setup, and they can deal perhaps with being isolated from time to time. But students have taken that in their stride. It shouldn't be a problem. It can be a struggle for certain individuals, but it's certainly a positive thing that you have demonstrated that at least you can study remotely and use a support network to help you achieve your goals. Taking that into the workplace is going to be super useful. Now, for many people, working remotely or studying remotely has been very challenging, and your mental health may have suffered. But you've all coped. I mentioned before that you've shown resilience through these challenging times. So it hasn't been easy, but you will be stronger as a result of this. And maybe some of you have pivoted. You've looked at taking online learning courses. You've thought outside the box, and employers love adaptability. So, you could use examples where you haven't been able to get work experience. You've looked at taking on online learning courses to help keep your skill set up to date. So these are just some of my tips on how you can reflect on where you are right now and how this puts you in a very, very strong position despite the challenges people have faced. I think I will just want to give you all a confidence boost before we start. Right. So how do you stand out from the crowd? As I mentioned, there are going to be 500,000 graduates entering the workplace in the summer. So it's really, really important to look at ways to stand out from the crowd, be it from the very first point of contact, your CV, right the way through to impressing at interview and assessment centres. So the very first thing to look at is what are employers looking for? What do they want? Next, you need to look at your USPs, and we'll finish off with where employers are actually looking. So these are the 3 most important aspects to standing out from the crowd. So first of all, what do employers want? Let's think what employers are actually looking for. What are the skills they are looking for in a graduate? So the best source for this information was another survey from the Institute of Student Employers. This was with about 300 of their members. So these are very, very big companies that filled out this survey and ticked which particular skills they were looking for from last year's recruiting season. So top of the list is teamwork. 91% of graduate recruiters are looking for graduates that can demonstrate teamwork. Okay. The next one is interpersonal skills, and the next one is listening. So, you've got them all listed here. I think it would help to focus on maybe the top five: teamwork, interpersonal skills, listening, problem solving, and taking responsibility. So, this is what employers are looking for. So, how can you demonstrate that you are capable of working in a team? So I'm sure you've all worked on team projects at university, but guess what? Lots of other students will be able to say that as well. So you need to think outside the box. Can you think of any other examples where you've used teamwork? This might have been when you volunteered on a project. It might have been in work experience. These are the obvious things you can look at, but it's very important that you think differently and not just go for the very, very first example you can think of. Equally, with interpersonal skills, how can you demonstrate that you can work with people from different backgrounds? Maybe in the workplace, you've had to deal with a manager in a different way to a colleague. Think of situations where you've had to develop those skills or learn as you've been going along. Interpersonal skills are very, very important to employers. Equally, listening. How can you demonstrate you're a good listener? Problem solving, that should be an easy skill to demonstrate with your particular degree. And taking responsibility, look for areas where you've stepped up and you've taken responsibility. So the very first thing that you need to do is look for examples of these skills that you can demonstrate and put across in your CV. Now, your USPs, this stands for unique selling points. Okay, so what makes you you? Why are you different to everyone else on your course? And there will be examples you can use up to the point when you started university and also during your journey at university. What have you done that's different? You need to ask yourself these questions because it's really going to help you when you start putting your CV together. So think about your personal brand. Okay, so employers might Google your name, and what are they going to find? They're going to find a Facebook page or something else on social media, or are they going to land on your LinkedIn profile? And when they click on that, are they going to find useful information about you, what you're looking for, what you've done, what you can offer? And having a strong social media presence is extremely important when you are applying for graduate level work. So think about your personal branding. Think about your unique selling points. What really makes you stand out? I mean, if you are struggling to think, you really can't think of something that really differentiates yourself from other graduates. Look at other individuals, be it celebrities, sports people, or senior business people. What catches your attention? Just scroll through social media feeds. What catches your attention? Is it something someone's put out in a video? Is it something someone said or written on a blog or commented on? Have a look at good examples of individuals that catch your attention and think why. And you can learn from them and then use it to your own advantage and make yourself stand out. Take a close look at your skill set. So I mentioned before those top skills that employers are looking for. Focus on those top five and maybe really focus in on teamwork, the number one skill that employers are looking for. Think about examples and illustrate these examples with actual facts and figures. It's much better than saying, I'm a great team player because I did 3 projects at university and we achieved, a 2-1 grade. sounds good, but you need to go into far more detail. What was the challenge? What did you do? What did you achieve? Can you quantify that? So always be thinking about giving evidence-based information for each of your skills. So these are some of a very, very quick overview of how you can start thinking about your unique selling points. What makes you you? What makes you stand out? What is different about you? It's really worth spending a lot of time about understanding yourself before you're looking at presenting yourself to employers. Now, where will employers look for students and graduates? So they will look at recruitment agencies because recruitment agencies provide a service where they can access a talent pool of students and graduates who are ready to go. They will look at career services. They'll contact your university career service. They may run events. They will certainly advertise for vacancies. And they will also be using social media, probably Twitter, maybe Instagram or TikTok, but mostly on LinkedIn. A lot of employers will be posting their jobs on LinkedIn. A lot of employers will be on LinkedIn, decision makers, people who are hiring managers, recruitment leaders, talent acquisition, resourcing. They go under different job titles, but it's definitely worth identifying certain companies and then going on LinkedIn and finding recruitment managers and similar job titles along those lines, and sending them an in-mail. So LinkedIn is definitely worth getting on if you aren't already. And certainly job boards. There are some very big job boards, Reed, Manpower, and then certain specialist job boards that cater for students and graduates. So employers probably will advertise on there. And they'll also advertise on their own website, obviously. But the most important thing to remember is a lot of jobs are hidden. They are not advertised for a variety of different reasons. What you see advertised with recruitment agencies, career services, on social media and job boards is only the tip of the iceberg. There are probably more jobs that aren't advertised that you will not be aware of, that go under the radar. And this is probably my top tip for you, is to make speculative applications. So what I mean by that is approaching companies that you are interested in. And even if they aren't looking, the chances are if you contact them with your CV, outlining your unique selling points, with a decent covering letter, you will get the attention of a hiring manager, and potentially they may have a job that they could create for you based on your application. And we've seen this happen before. Or they might also be looking for people at that particular time, and you get lucky. I would strongly suggest using all those other areas where employers will look: recruitment agencies, career services, social media, and job boards, but also pay attention to making speculative applications. Apply directly to companies you'd like to work for, even if they're not advertising, because so many jobs aren't advertised. Now, my final warning for you is, if you follow my advice, so number one, think about the skills that you can offer. Think about your unique selling points. Go looking for employers. All your efforts will be wasted if you don't follow the results from this particular survey. Again, with the Institute of Student Employers, they did a survey with over 230 of their members. Big employers were asked, what is the most common reason that stops students from getting the jobs that they apply for? Number one, the application isn't tailored to the role. Poorly written applications, poor performance at interview, poor performance in tests. So you can see here all the reasons why you might do everything you can possible to apply for a role, but you fail because your application wasn't tailored to the role. This is so important. So when you're applying for a role, make sure that you look very closely at the job description. What are the skills that they're looking for? and tailor your application to that particular role. And I'm sure there have been other sessions about this particular subject. And it is so important to get the attention of an employer, is to make sure that it's relevant to them. Okay, so you know, it's really important to pay close attention to what they're looking for. Look at the skills that they are specifically looking for and reflect that in your CV. So make sure that any application forms that you fill out, your covering letter, your CV is different for each job that you apply for. And that is where a lot of students and graduates will fail. And this will help you stand out, along with all the other advice I've given. Now, this is kind of very, very general. Every individual situation is very, very different. Your skill sets are different. The jobs that you're going for will be different. But if you follow this advice, this will help you, give you a start to stand out in a very, very crowded job market. It's also very important to follow up with your job applications. A lot of graduates don't do that. They'll send an email with a CV. They will send an email on LinkedIn. They will fill in an application form. They'll do all those things, but they won't follow it up. So we always suggest graduates follow up maybe 3 or 4 days after you've filled in your application form. Find out who the selector is, give them a call and just check that they've got your details, for instance, and when could you expect to hear back from them. It just means that you're standing out because you're making another form of contact with the employer, ideally over the phone or over email is best. But going that step further is going to help you stand out. So certainly chase your applications and make sure that they've received them and you know when you can expect to hear back from them. Finally, I also want to direct you to our sister website called Graduate Mentor. Now, Graduate Mentor was launched 2 years ago to help you guys with mentoring sessions over Zoom or Teams. So we have over 270 mentors who will give you advice on standing out for particular industry sectors. So, you know, if you're interested in getting into finance, marketing, media, engineering, whatever it is, we have a mentor that covers those industry sectors. So you can go on the platform, you can book a session, and you can speak directly to a mentor, someone who's in the industry that you want to work for, and they will help and support you. And with this particular subject, help you stand out and give you way more information on that particular sector. So I strongly encourage you to check out graduatementor.uk. By all means, give me an email, look me up on LinkedIn. We do these kind of sessions on a one-to-one basis a lot here at Graduate Recruitment Bureau. And I was invited here to give you a general overview of how you can stand out. Victoria, over to you. If there are any questions, I'm happy to take those.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. That has been really, really insightful and some really reassuring statistics in the beginning as well. So, you know, it's all not always negative. So it's some really good, encouraging numbers in terms of the graduate opportunities coming up and some really helpful tips as well. Just a few things that you've said I want to pick up on. I know you mentioned LinkedIn as a searching tool for opportunities and also, you know, a tool for networking as well and kind of finding those hidden jobs. We do have LinkedIn masterclasses, which are this month. We're putting 3 different sessions for our students. So LinkedIn beginners, intermediate, and advanced level as well. So if anyone on here is not too sure how to create an account, how to use or how to kind of navigate around LinkedIn, please go on Handshake. I'll actually try and share the link quickly with you as well. But the first session is on Monday the 21st, and this is the LinkedIn beginners. Again, I will probably encourage you to start with beginner session as well, and then see how you feel, and then kind of move on to the next session. But I'll quickly share the link where you can book. So I think we have a question. I think someone's put their hand up.
Sure.
Oh, Korea.
Hi, yeah, that's me. Hi. I wonder if, Dan, if you could just shed some light on the kind of things that students might want to say in the interest section of their CV, because we see a lot of students talking about things like sport, but I always think it's a bit of a missed opportunity to stand out. And I wonder if that's your experience as well.
Yeah, good question. The interest section is something that is equally important to illustrate your skill set to an employer. So, I keep coming back to, what skills and attributes employers actually are looking for. There's no point talking about skills that they're not interested in, right? So we're going to cover the skills gained from studying a particular degree. So there's a hard skill set there. And then there are, I don't like the term soft skills, that are equally important that can be drawn from work experience or interest. So, interest can be a hobby, it could be a sport, it could sort of go into any volunteering you do, a huge variety of different things that we do in our spare time. The key is to demonstrate what you've achieved. Okay. So you need to illustrate, if you're interested in a particular sport, teamwork straight away. You can talk about what you've achieved with that particular team, or if it's an individual pursuit, you can talk about any problem solving. So you might be really into chess, so you can talk about problem solving all day long. If it's volunteering, you could talk about taking responsibility. Did you raise some money for a charity? Always be thinking about these skills and attributes when you put pen to paper for your interests, just as much as you would your work experience or your academic skills.
That's great. Thanks very much, Dan.
You're welcome.
Thank you. So I'm just gonna, does anyone else have any questions from our students? Please feel free to add them to the chat functions or put your hand up. But I do have a question, Dan. We've kind of working with students, know that lots of them struggle to find work experience that is relevant in their field. And they kind of struggle when they come out of uni, and lots of graduate employers are looking for something a bit more relevant in terms of work experience. Do you have any advice where to find those opportunities?
Yes. So employers do look for some work experience. It's more unusual that you haven't got any work experience nowadays, but they also understand that students coming through the pandemic and the lockdown didn't have all those opportunities, right? So first of all, they understand that, but they are also looking for ways that you can demonstrate skills in other ways. Okay, so transferable skills is the term. So again, if you're looking at a job description, the chances are the employer will say, we're looking for someone who can demonstrate X, Y, Z. So if you're thinking, oh no, I haven't got any work experience in those, what can you put on the application form? So think about transferable skills, and it isn't easy. You are looking for evidence from your course as an obvious starting point, but also if you haven't got anything, start thinking about how you can get that. And you might want to go on to an online learning course. That's really easy to do. You could go through a particular, LinkedIn offer these courses as well. So do a week's course on Excel if necessary, and actually get that and demonstrate that you're certified on a LinkedIn course, for instance. So there are ways you can very, very quickly get those skills rather than looking for a part-time job, applying for it, and then learning those skills as you're going along. Turn and look at online courses. There are thousands of them. Harvard University offer them. I'm sure ARU offer them as well. Open University, LinkedIn, eAcademy. There's lots of opportunities, and we've noticed lots of students pivoting to pick up those skills from online courses. So yeah, have a look at those.
Really good points there. And please remember, you do have LinkedIn Learning as part of your Career Center account. So if you go onto the Career Center, you can go on e-learning and then click on LinkedIn. So that is a free free tool you can use while you're actually studying with us. So please utilize that as well. We have a question from Clara. What's the job board about? Which job board do you mean, Clara? feel free to unmute yourself, or
Yeah.
I don't think she's typing. I think she might refer to the Graduate Recruitment Bureau.
Okay. Well, Job Board is a website that lists jobs. So, you know, your career service will have a job listing of employers looking for graduates. You've got big recruitment job boards that are also agencies. So, you know, Reed, you know, it's a recruitment agency on the high street. You can walk into their office, and also on their website, they will list jobs. And also Graduate Recruitment Bureau, we're a recruitment agency, but we also list those jobs on our website. So yeah, if you're not sure, just Google it. And the most important thing is to find one specific to the industry or the type of candidate that you are, to make sure that you're going for the right kind of jobs, because there's so many job boards out there. I hope that helps.
Yeah. We also have a question from Monica, who's put her hand up. So Monica, feel free to unmute yourself.
Hi, thank you.
Hello.
I have a question. So, with transferable skills, because exactly now I make the calcul how many years I was in the job market, but different field, and now I studied psychology undergraduate, and I try to gain experience in first year I am now, and I try to gain experience till I finish the third year. So I have transferable skills, more than 20 years of working in different field. But till now I gain rejection based on the companies where I was working. So it was totally different housekeeping supervisor. And what advice you have? And now I receive a volunteering ambassador position, which, okay, I can say that I stand up quite a lot from the ground. What, anything else you advise?
Without seeing the job description that you've applied for, the most important thing to get from every job that you apply for is to get feedback on, you know, on why you were unsuccessful. So, I mean, some employers don't do that, and it's a real shame. But if you can, that would be my first advice, is to try and get some feedback, find out why. Secondly is, you know, go again, don't give up. You've probably got lots of really useful transferable skills. The key is to tailor that application for the next job that you go for. So yeah, that's, I mean, this is one of the reasons, and it might not be the case in your case, I don't know, but the application is not tailored to the role. So pay close attention to the job description. Do you have those skills? You know, if you don't have those skills, move on to the next job. You know, but pay close attention to what they're looking for. And if you think, yeah, you know what, I can demonstrate those skills, then go for it. Those would be my two bits of advice, without actually knowing your profile and knowing the job that you're going for. That's kind of just general advice I would give you.
Okay.
Yeah, Monica, we can pick up.
We
can arrange a meeting and kind of really have a look at your CV and the job you're applying for. But I think general advice is really print out the job description, really highlight the key skills and responsibilities. Have a look at your CV and just kind of think, am I matching that? What are my gaps in my skills and my experience? And if you think that, you know, there are too many gaps, is it the right level of role? I think, you know, sometimes it's really good to kind of step back and, you know, have a look at what you're applying for and think, you know, why am I not getting there? You know, am I actually at the right level now? And then if you're not, that's absolutely fine. Try to kind of upskill and use that time to gain some more experience, you know, maybe doing some voluntary work, or, you know, just really understand what are you missing from your experience and why are you not getting to that next stage. And I think lots of, you know, graduate students, you know, they apply for roles that maybe not be the right level for them at this stage. And I think it's a really good exercise to kind of, you know, take a look and kind of see what are you missing from your experience in your CV, and just spend some more time gaining that experience and those skills, and then go back and apply for those roles. But yeah, we can look at together. We can pick that up in another time, and just kind of really I can provide some feedback for you, if that's okay.
It's perfect. Thank you so much.
No worries. Any more questions? Anyone else?
Laura's put a question in the chat saying, when is the right time to start applying for jobs?
Right, okay. Now, traditionally, there's what's called the milk round. So big employers usually will advertise their roles in the autumn with a view to taking on the graduates in the following sort of summer period. Now, a common misconception is if you've missed that deadline, that you've missed your opportunity with those companies. That is not always the case, because come June, July, sometimes they have a shortfall. Okay, so they've gone through the whole process, they've offered jobs out, and sometimes people don't take those offers because they've got more than one offer, or they don't turn up on the day. So this is called a shortfall. So my first piece of advice is don't rule out those big companies because you've missed out on the autumn deadlines, because they may actually be looking again next summer. Now, my second bit of advice is all of these employers who go under the radar, you might not be aware of, they're looking now, they're looking tomorrow, they're looking next week, next month. They are constantly looking for graduates. So my advice is to start looking, start applying as early as possible, but don't give up. If you get to the summer, you've had no luck, keep going, because there will be employers who are looking later on this year. So, but don't jump into it straight away. Take my advice. Let's just go back to the slide. Make sure that you're looking at employers that you like the look of, that you'd like to work for, and find out what do they want. Okay, and I've given you that graphic there, that they're the kind of skills that they look for, but it'd be very different by employer. So, pay close attention to what they're looking for. Look at the job description from last year's training program. What were they looking for? Try and find people who are now working there as graduates. Look at their profile on LinkedIn. That will give you an idea about the kind of profile they go for. Then think about presenting yourself. What are your USPs? What's going to help you stand out from all the other students and graduates applying for those jobs? And then find ways to get in front of those employers in those areas that I mentioned further down there.
Great, thank you. I think Clara has one more question. So the company I'm interested in requires that I'll be in the UK for up to 3 years. So what am I expected to do during this period to gain experience they need?
Sorry, you
Clara,
get a job with an.
Sorry, Clara, can you just specify your question? Sorry. I think she means that she's required to be in the UK for 3 years so she can apply.
Once she's finished the course, or during the. If this is visa entry requirements, I'd speak directly to the employer. It's very hard for me to answer that question, but I mean, you will find out visa requirements. Yeah, so there's information out there that will help you, but speak directly to that employer and ask them the question without knowing what they're looking for. Yeah, it's sorry, it's really hard to answer that question.
I'll just come in on that question if that's okay. We do have a recording of a webinar for international students about transition to the UK employment market, the post-study work visa and the skilled worker visa route as well. So I'll try and put a quick link to that in the chat for you to see as well. I do think it's really important that you do contact our international student advice team for advice, because to be honest, we're not actually allowed to provide advice on this because we're not Home Office trained. So we don't want to give you the wrong information. So I'll put some links to the international student advice team in the chat as well. Okay.
Thank you, Korea. Yes, Clara. So I think a good starting point is maybe to have a chat with the international office and just to check the visa requirements. But as Dan said as well, the best option is to speak to the employer directly as well. So if you're really interested in working for them, have a chat with the recruiter, find them on LinkedIn, and just ask those questions about requirements to apply, and requirements for the job as well. So it's a good exercise for you to kind of to start approaching employers directly as well. But if you need any help with that, please free to get in touch with us as well, just to kind of give you some guidance around how you can do that. But international office again will be a good starting point.
Yeah.
Any more questions, Dan or for myself?
Yeah, I'll just add there that essentially this is a sales exercise. You're selling yourself. So I've approached this using that methodology, and the first thing is to understand your audience, which is why I said there, what do employers want? I just can't stress enough how important it is to do your homework rather than just sending out your CV to hundreds of different companies. You'll get lots of rejections and it's very demoralizing. So I strongly encourage you to follow these steps. It's a proven model, certainly in a sales environment, to firstly understand your audience and then position yourself with your USPs and then go out and actively contact those employers. So yeah, just thought I'd finish with that, but happy to answer any questions beyond this on LinkedIn or drop me an email.
Absolutely. I'm just gonna add on to that as well. Go out there, meet employers. We have, for example, we had the graduate the graduate and placement expo yesterday. I know that lots of you came and met with employers and asked them really good questions, but use those opportunities. Also Futures Festivals as well. We've had lots of panel events and employers coming to speak to you. So use those opportunities to put yourself out there, speak to employers directly and, start that process of selling yourself and, finding more information. So there's some external careers fair happening as well. I believe there's a Cambridge careers fair happening in the next few weeks, which I can send you some details. But it's a really good point to not just sending applications. Make sure before you send the application, who are you sending it to? Why do you want to work for that company? And what makes you a good fit? Look at their culture, their values, and really tailor those applications. And I know that there's a good mix of you today. I think there's some first year, second year, third year students. Use that time now to think about what you want to do, have a look at those job specifications, think about what are your unique selling points, what are your gaps in your skills and how you can use that time now while you're studying in your final year as well, how you can kind of fill in those gaps in your experience and your skills. So it's a really good time for you to start planning for when the time comes to apply for those jobs and start the interview process as well. But if you have any questions, I know that Dan has put his contact details as well. I will put my direct email address in the chat function as well, so you can contact me directly. We just had a quick question from Roxy. How do we know when employers are coming to the uni? I've made a lot of online events, but seem to have missed a lot as well. Keep an eye on your emails. We usually send lots of promotional comms materials directly to your student email as well. There's our new events and networking system called Handshake we've recently implemented. So all our events will be on there. So if you have an account, which I'm sure you have, if you have joined this event, keep an eye out for any events in there. So all our events, internal, and we also promote external events in there as well, will be listed. So keep an eye out and keep checking Handshake. But if you have any concerns or any questions, or if you're not sure how to use Handshake, again, please reach out directly. You can email me. I've just putting my email in the chat function as well. Or you can connect to me on LinkedIn as well. That's easier. I'm just quickly going to share a QR code as well. Another QR code. I'm really sorry. I know there's quite a few of them. But it's a feedback QR code. So it will take you to our survey. So it's just this one. Hopefully you can see it. So you can scan It will take you to our online survey just to tell us how we've done, if there's anything we can improve, and just general feedback about Futures Festival. So if you can please do that, that'll be really, really helpful. Thank you everyone for coming, and thank you, Dan, as well. It has been really, really insightful and really helpful. So I know you took part last year, so thanks so much for keep coming back for Futures Festival. I'm sure that you will invite you again next year. But thanks everyone for coming. And yeah, any questions, please feel free to get in touch with us.
Lovely, happy to help. Thanks for inviting me, and thank you to everyone who's come along today. I really wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks very much, Dan.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
You might want to stop the recording.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find the button. Sorry. Yeah.